when you say like I'm Tibetan to people in America out here, they're like most probably people don't know. But when I say I'm the same country as Dalai Lama is from, I'm like, oh, you mean Tibet?
If I say where you from, somebody asks me where you from, and I say I'm from Tibet, and then they were like, where is Tibet? And then they don't know really where is Tibet. And when I name His Holiness Dalai Lama, they picks me up, and then, oh yeah, you're from.
There you ask some, like if you meet someone out in the market and say, okay, where are you from? You said, I'm Tibetan. Most of the times people don't even know that. And you said, I'm Dalai Lama. Oh.
My name is Urgyen Dolma, and I grew up in Nepal. I am Tibetan, but where is my Tibet?
Born as a Tibetan, my parents being Tibetan, hearing from my parents about the struggle that they went through when they were trying to escape, and not only my parents, but many millions of Tibetans went through the same struggle and the sufferings in 1959 when the communist China invaded Tibet.
My dad, he was in Tibet when the war started. That's what my dad said. And then he escaped by a horse because
he escaped to Nepal.
Yeah, no, India or Nepal by a horse. He traveled through many stormy weather stuff.
I was mostly raised in Nepal, almost like you can say all my life.
I was born in Lhasa, the capital city of Tibet, and raised in Tibet, China, and India.
My family moved from Tibet to Nepal.
I've never seen Tibet. I'm born and raised in the refugee camps in India.
My family, they just went to Bhutan first because that's the nearest border. From Bhutan, then they have to come to India.
My grandmother, my father's mother, she was a nun. For like the last 10 years she lived on earth. I was raised by her for a pretty long time. She shaved my head like 5 times because I think it's because it was hard to manage. And yeah, and especially because she was a nun, she shaved her head, so she would take me and shave my head too.
Do you know what has happened in Tibet?
Yes. The Chinese has been taking over Tibet.
How has it affected your life?
Because of that, Chinese taking over Tibet. My parents came here, I was born here, and I adapted the American life.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It is a good thing because we live in a modern country.
It is a bad thing because part of us being Tibetan is missing.
When I lived in Nepal, it was really different than how it is right now out here. Out there, since it was a monastery, all the monasteries were supposed to be red, and there were monks roaming around all the time. Every day around 4 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the evening, there would be Tibetan Dharma practice going on, dong, dong, and all stuff.
It's really, it is difficulty to keep our Tibetan culture here more than India, because in India we have this most population of Tibetan in India.
In Nepal, life is more free, so we have more time to do all the Tibetan things, just religious ways. And plus, we have more sacred places like Buddhanath, Swayambhu, and all where you take your kids and just they become part of the culture, which is they grow up in that culture. So it's easy in that way. But here, until and unless you send your kids to Sunday school to study Tibetan language and Tibetan culture, it's hard.
The new generation in Tibet or in India, it's much more closer to Tibetan culture. We don't have a Tibetan community center and Tibetan school designated for growing Tibetan community in New York. So I thought since I have a school, I should use that for our culture.
How interested are you in learning Tibetan?
Oh, good. I came here for 2 months.
You
I mean 2 years. Still here.
Are you interested in learning Tibetan?
Yeah.
Till this year, I never knew there was a Sunday school or a Rupin museum until I started making this documentary. Fortunately, there's a Tibetan museum called Urgyen Museum. I went there and I met a Tibetan person called Tashi. She's a lady, and I asked some of her opinion about the new generation Tibetans losing its traditional value.
Do I think the new generation is losing the traditional value? It's a tricky question, because on one side, when I look around, I do dread, because our younger generation are, so much after the modern thing, technology. There is so much distraction, yeah? There is many younger generation, they are really, really, passionate about Tibetan struggle and Tibetan culture. So I do want to be optimistic.
Me being a Tibetan in the United States, it's like things that I did before in India, I can't do it. For example, I do prayer in India, but I can't do prayer in here. Even though I'm doing prayer even I feel like doing, I feel like, no, I'm not doing, nobody's doing here. Why should I do?
I'm worried about the new Tibetans like me, because I was very spiritual before and now I'm not as much as I was before.
I realized that many Tibetan kids here in America, they don't feel proud of being a Tibetan, because Tibetan is such a minority in New York, and they don't even want to say I'm a Tibetan to everyone else.
I think older generation of Tibetan who lives here, they also might feel the same, of lacking this Tibetan culture things, because I can example my own mother. Well, she goes to these temples and all things, they do cultural things in Tibet and India and Nepal, but I have never seen she is doing here. She has to go work full day.
I was born as a Tibetan, and Tibet in the Buddhism, and that's like always daily basis. We pray in the morning and do all the ritual things. Yes, but not practicing like meditating or these kind of things. I don't do that, and I wish I could do that, but because we have a life to live. We have so many things. I have children going to college. I have to work.
Every single people who comes in the United States came here to do work, to make money and all, and they don't have this time to talk about culture and all things that we do back in there.
I think it's very, very important for our younger generation to preserve our culture and identity, especially learning Tibetans, speaking the language, whichever dialect it is, whether it's Ndote, Dome, Utsang, the Kamke and the Uke and all that. I think it's very, very important the language. That's the most important thing.
Usually, like at home, we speak Tibetan every day, and I speak Tibetan with my son. So it's a Tibetan language is a part of my life every day.
I speak Tibetan, but I don't know how to write.
I would say that I'm not really good in Tibetan, Tibetan language, even though I was staying in Nepal and India, because it's kind of mixed. But once I got here, it feels like I'm lacking more than before, the language.
And especially when I talk with other people, sometimes I speak Tibetan, English, Hindi, Nepali mixed, which is like weird.
I'm a little bit afraid of the Tibetan language and Tibetan culture, but religion will never go away. Religion will never dissolve or disappear. But culture and language and traditionally the dress, this little kind of it's a big challenge.
To be a Tibetan is, especially from my opinion, it's to be a very good Buddhist, because Tibetan is all about Buddhism.
Every Tibetan are Buddhists.
The main essence of Tibetan culture is Buddhism and Pön. So you got to respect that, you got to study that. Then I think if wherever these two are preserved, then Tibetan culture will be preserved.
If you are Tibetan, then definitely you have statues, definitely you have those small things about Tibetan culture. There's no home which don't have those Tibetan. I can give this 100% sure.
Tibetans have like a bowl, like 5-6 bowls. We have to clean it up. We have to fill water in the morning. We have to give it, we have to put it in front of the statues. Yeah, and there's supposed to be like a candle. Yeah, I'm lazy and busy enough not to even notice the things which is like right in front of my bed.
Right now, I can since I came in the United States, I don't feel like I'm practicing Buddhism, not at all.
To be a Tibetan it's also to be kind.
Okay, what do it mean to be Tibetan? Means to me, it is to be kind, to be compassionate, to be loving. That is to me is being a Tibetan.
How do I preserve Tibetan culture? So I guess there's many different variations. One, I'm wearing the Tibetan clothes. I guess that's one way, because when people see you and they'll ask you, oh, that's a different kind of dress. What is it? And then you can introduce or talk about your country.
And you find it, and then you love it, and then you preserve it.
America is like, all the hopes are in America, so I'm sure there's a lot of hope on the Tibetans in America. It was really hard for me to manage to wear even this much. I still don't know how to wear it properly. Yeah. When other girls in Tibet, they just wear it right away. I'm making this documentary for people to see that if they don't preserve our culture, then there's a big chance in future that the pure Tibetans won't exist.
She